Okay, now it's live. All right, so I believe we are live, gentlemen. Ready for a great night on the Beach Brothers show. Mr. Seko's over at the Municipal Center. I hope he gets to early
I believe
vote.
so.
Hope he gets to early vote. That leaves the greater hosting duties over to myself and Mr. Jose.
Indeed.
You doing well?
I'm doing pretty good, brother. How about yourself?
Well, a little tired. I woke up early to go to work, but hey, man, we're all workers here.
Indeed. The money you don't make, the next man will. Remember that.
Exactly. And we would like to bring on a guest tonight, Julian. Is it Baena? Am I pronouncing Baena good? He's the guest, local businessman. I think co-founder of Legacy Business Advisors Mid-Atlantic. Also part of the Opus Group from Mass Mutual, a financial services rep, a risk assessor, and independent consultant as well. Also worked in and around the United States Marine Corps for some 13 years. He's a Bachelor of Arts, or received one from St. Leo, and an MBA from St. Leo as well. So he's got a wealth of experience in volunteer work, including for the past 2 years, being the president of the Hampton Roads Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the premier group for pro-Hispanic business around the area. Mr. Jose, did you by chance get my little pre-packeted questions on email?
Not yet. Give me a second. Let me go ahead and check.
Because I'll lead off tonight by simply asking what led you to want to be the leader of the HRHC?
So when I moved here in 2017, I was kind of new to the area, and I was looking for other business individuals, and I figured that the chamber would be a good place to start. And that's kind of what would help drive me establishing a business presence here. So I reached out to the chamber and got involved, and quickly realized that it was something that I was passionate about.
How'd you hear about it?
Just in the business community, being part of a chamber is important. So I figured if there's a Hampton Roads chamber, there's got to be a Hispanic chamber.
If I recall, it was started in 2003.
Correct. Yep. So the actual organization was started in 2003 by 4 Hispanic businesswomen that very much, like most Hispanic business owners, just come here to do a better, to make a better life for ourselves and our families. And they said, hey, we're trying to get together. Maybe if we work together, we can advance a little bit faster and further. And they started a little association of Hispanic-owned businesses, and they grew from there. This year, we celebrated our 17th year. And we, as a matter of fact, in 2018, we actually rebranded and renamed the organization the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Coastal Virginia. And we did that in an effort to let individual businesses and business owners know that we want to help the entire Coastal Virginia, not just the Hampton Roads. We want to extend out as far as the Eastern Shore.
That'd be interesting.
Yep, there's a lot of migrant workers and a lot of Hispanic business owners out there that maybe don't have, access to the resources or information.
Give me some ideas of some work you might have done in the Eastern Shore. I would imagine rebranding is a good thing. What projects are you looking for?
So rebranding is good because we now can cover, we go as far west as about Williamsburg. We'll go help out to the Eastern Shore, and then we'd like to get down to Elizabeth City, just right there on the border with Virginia, and be a resource for, as far west as Emporia if we need to. In the Eastern Shore, pretty much all the other regions is just providing, information in Spanish where it's much easier to kind of comprehend in the native language.
Mm-hmm. Okay. 1 second. What been the hardest impact to the Hispanic business interest of this COVID?
That's a really interesting question. So I'll put it to you this way. I forget what the number is for the amount of money that was given out through the PPP and the EIDL. I think that was somewhere like $770 billion or something like that, or $370 billion. And only 8% of that was used in Hispanic communities for Hispanic businesses. And out of that 8%, you're talking maybe fewer than that actually ended up like applying and getting the grant and going through all of that. So, and a lot of it has been due to access of information.
Right.
Not understanding what it is. I've had a lot of business owners that I speak to that I said, "Hey, did you apply?" And they're like, "No, I don't even know what that is. How do I apply for that? Where do I go?" And that's your English speaking, really dominates the English language business owner. Now, if you try to take that to a Hispanic business owner that may not be as fluent in English or dominate the language as much, it exacerbates the issue, 100 times, because now you're trying to understand information that is not in your native language for you to take in. So it becomes really difficult to understand, to kind of know the resources that are out there and all that. So for us, it has been getting the information out, trying to get it down as real time as possible and as quickly as possible. Now I think the challenge ahead for us is looking at the recovery strategy and making sure that we're part of that conversation and part of that discussion. There's a lot of recovery efforts going on, but there's very few that different organizations that have reached out to the minority demographic chambers to say, "Hey, what type of help and support do you guys need, and how do we make you a part of this recovery effort?"
Have you been a good intermediary between business interest of the sole proprietors themselves and the chamber and the government organization that are giving out CARE grants?
So we've yes. So we have the information that we have received. We have made sure that it was put out in both English and Spanish. And again, that's to try and facilitate that flow of information for our chamber members and our just Hispanic community at large.
Okay. This is rifled with military. What has your military experience allowed you to do here in Hampton Roads on the business?
Oh man, I mean, I take a lot of the stuff that we learned in the military, man, to apply it to business. A lot of the teamwork, the adaptability, being fluid in business. Things change very frequently. So being able to adapt and just, think outside the box sometimes and be creative to find solutions. And all the other core skills, I think the virtues that we get instilled in us, honor, courage, commitment for the Marine Corps. And I know that
discipline.
Yeah, similar. And I know, the other branches have theirs, but you kind of take some of those things and that helps you maybe be a better person and a better business person. And somebody that, when you meet people, they're like, "Hey, you know what? He's a nice guy. I'd like to do business with him." He knows the stuff, like smart and doesn't do business, let's do it.
Exactly. Okay. Entrepreneurship is just as important and compelling as sustaining established business. What is junior achievement of Hampton Roads?
Oh man, junior achievement. So Junior Achievement is a nonprofit organization that is focused on teaching our youth, K through 12, about financial literacy. And the amount of programs that they have and the amount of information and how easy it is, it's amazing. Um, you know, and that was one of those organizations that I believe in and support because I know that growing up, getting taught about finances and financial literacy was not something that happened very often in my house. You know,
Right.
it didn't happen like that. And I think culturally, it's just something that doesn't really occur a whole lot. I think growing up in a Colombian household, the only time I heard mention about money was if somebody had won the lotto, or if there was some maybe arguing going on behind closed doors. But you knew it was about money. That was the extent of it.
Right.
You know, you got your inheritance is hey, go check take 40 paces out the backyard, lift up the banana plant, and then there's abuelo's $5,000 that he saved up all his life. So being in the finance industry, I understand how important it is to know money, understand how money works, and the tools and resources that are available. And Junior Achievement does that at a very young age, helping our youth, kind of be the next generation of, hey, I kind of know what to do, or at least know where to start, or at least know to ask a question.
Right.
Money. And those are important conversations. There's programs in there that I've supported and been a part of where we go into local high schools and we start a business.
Nice.
Yeah, in September we start a business, September, October, and once a week, I volunteer a couple of hours of my day, and I help these kids start a business. And we go everything from business plan to getting investments into the company and finding shareholders, to the research and development, through the dissolvement of the company. We liquidate at the end, and not any money that they're able to gain from it, we provide back to another charitable organization, like the Alzheimer's Association or the Make-A-Wish Foundation, which is Toby's foundation locally. And we provide that money back to them. So it's kind of cool to see that. And on top of that, they're getting a really important education on entrepreneurship and how hard it is to start a business, to back office stuff, to do sales, and it's really, really, really cool. So that's the type of work that Junior Achievement does, and incredibly satisfying and rewarding. So we're always looking for volunteers, guys.
Hey,
you already know where I'm at. You already know how to find me.
Yeah, and you don't have to know about money either. All the programs are prepackaged, and all you really got to do is go in there and give you words to say, and it's great. So,
now, how long has that particular organization been around the area?
So, Junior Achievement of Hampton Roads, I can't specifically tell you how long we've been in Hampton Roads. I know it's been here for a while, but we're growing very rapidly. Junior Achievement as a whole has been around for, I believe, long time.
Because I'm curious if right around the time when you started, have you been able to see good progression of the first group of children you've been around by now?
Yeah, so I've been on the board for about 3 years. And again, there's so many different programs to volunteer for. The one that I volunteer for is the company program, which is the one where we start a business and sell it and liquidate it. And from there, I'm with their juniors and seniors that are in local high schools, DECA programs. So I'm just with them for that semester, and that's kind of it. I haven't been fortunate enough yet to see some of them go on and graduate college and see if they started a business or leave. I know there's a couple of years ago, the ATC, that was the class that kind of ended up in my program. they had they built a little drone that does drone views for real estate. So they had their whole little business model. And I know the one student was a senior, and he wanted to keep the business going. And but that was the last I heard of him. I haven't seen or spoke with him since.
And have they been also able to work out a bit with the chamber?
What's that?
Have those same children been able to also work part with the chamber?
No. It's two different things, different organizations, and there has not been any cross. I mean, the company program is high school, juniors, and seniors, and the chambers, the business owners in the community.
I know. Here's a question that's going to put a smile on Mr. Seko's face. What is the Hampton University Hispanic Latino Initiative about?
Hampton University Hispanic Latino Initiative. So I'm not familiar with the specific initiative. I know that they have the Center for Hispanic Achievement and Training, which is HUCHAT. And I know that we have, or we're developing, I take that back. We have an agreement with Hampton University where they provide interns and students that are learning Spanish and that are interested in doing internships with the chamber. And we help put them in local businesses where they kind of learn a little bit more specific technical terms in Spanish. So, for example,
awesome.
Yeah, Hampton University has a great program in their language arts, right? I think a couple of years ago, we were able to connect one student with a local nonprofit called Hola, which is helping orphans of Latin America. And that particular year, they were working with orphans in Nicaragua. Well, that student, was able to take her internship, and they sent her to Nicaragua. They paid for her to go to Nicaragua and help support their programs. So, I mean, that's a great experience. And what it did also was let her see and use the Spanish that she's learning in a native environment, and actually use the terminology that she would if she's going to do it here.
Okay. Now, is the chamber looking to help out with Wesleyan University, ODU, CNU, NSU?
Of course. So, our mission at the chamber, when it comes to building those alliances and strategic partnerships, has a lot to do with educating, training, and retaining the best talent that we can in the area. So if we can help put students in internships and help them get educated in business or anywhere that we can help,
right?
Then we're happy to do so, and we're happy to do it with anybody who's looking for the support and the help and the resources, and vice versa.
Outstanding.
All right. Last little bit of prepared questions I have. This last one is sort of in regards to looking forward. The vision, if you will. What is the chamber's vision going forward, say for the next 1-2 decades? Because by about 2040, it is projected that the largest non-white group of the Virginian population will be Latino. How's that look toward a prosperous future, and how it couples with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce's growth in the area?
So that's a great question. I know at the chamber we are working towards that because we understand the power of the Hispanic community. Like you said, it's the fastest growing demographic in the country. Our purchasing power is $13.3 trillion a year. So that's a big number. And we put a dent in the economy, and we help. So we understand that. So our focus is saying, hey, we are the primary resource for the Hispanic community and any community that's trying to do business with the Hispanic community. We want to educate our community. first and foremost, and provide the resources and the knowledge that they need in order to be successful and succeed. And we want to do it in any which way that we can, whether it be English or Spanish. And we want to be able to provide those resources to our community that when they don't know, that they are not intimidated or afraid to pick up the phone and call us and say, hey, I have a question. Culturally, sometimes people are afraid of doing that. And we don't want that. We want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable and say, you know what, if it has to do with business, if it has to do with commerce, and if it has to do with helping the community, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Coastal Virginia is that resource. And we also want to show the local region how powerful the Hispanic dollar is. We want to drive here. We want to bring a Latino symposium and, bring the top 500 Latino professionals from across all the industries in the convention here to say, hey, look, here's representatives from Delta, Cheetos, and all these things that are here. And this is the type of content that we have. That we do. So that's kind of our vision going forward, is kind of lining up and building towards that slowly but surely, making sure that we do it strategically and that we don't write checks that we can't cash.
I'd also like to shout out previous special guest host Lucia and who just said hola. So it's great to see you there, Lucia. I also am a little bit curious about membership, growing membership, contact information with the Hispanic Chamber. Break it down how someone who might not know about it can then start to try to get involved with it.
Well, that's a great question. So membership is open to anybody. So we are the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Coastal Virginia. And our emphasis is in helping the Hispanic community, but we want to help everybody grow their business. So the membership comes in one of three ways. We either have kind of like a small starter package, a medium package, and then a big package. And with all those, you get different types of benefits, one-on-one consultations, some discount perks with chamber members, and there's a nice little laundry list of the different perks that we get. And you get to be a part of like-minded individuals. And when you go to our meetings, we do typically, post-COVID, or pre-COVID, I'm sorry, we did 22 networking events a year that you got to choose from, 2 every month. We all know how the South Side and the Peninsula kind of separated with the tunnel. Sometimes people don't like to cross it because of traffic. So we make sure that we hit the South Side and the Peninsula. So it gives you an opportunity to network with people from both sides. We showcase or highlight a different Hispanic-owned business or chamber business every month out of those networking events. So we make sure that you get to go somewhere that maybe you would have been, oh man, I never would have stopped at this little taqueria or at this Colombian restaurant or this Peruvian chicken rotisserie chicken place. So you get to experience a lot of different things, get to see different cultures, because with all the different countries in North America, Central and South, including Mexico, there's so many cultures and so many different variances in food and music and stuff. So you get to see a little bit of everything. So you that's how you become a chamber member. Mm-hmm. Volunteers, we're always accepting volunteers. We put on Nuestra Feria, which is a grassroots fair. It's called Our Fair, where we bring cultural music, dancers, and events, food, all to one place for a day, typically during Hispanic Heritage Month, to make sure that everybody can experience how great the Hispanic and Latin culture are. We do, so there's the volunteer opportunities. And then, we're our board of directors is always a great way to participate. And then lastly, we have our scholarship fund that people are always welcome to donate to. So lots of different ways to get involved and give back to the community.
Awesome.
All right. And co-host of the show and great friend, Mr. Jose, is also involved with the Hispanic Chamber of Coastal Virginia.
That's right.
Break it down how he came in and what is the future is like for Mr. Jose.
So we're always looking for young, talent that we want to kind of help develop into the future leaders. I've been doing this for a few years, and I'll do it as long as I can. But there's new stuff that comes out, new perspectives, fresh eyes. So we try to identify young, talented Hispanic or business owners to be on our board, and then we recruit them.
Indeed.
And luckily, it takes a lot of talent and a great heart to give back to the community and devote and kind of give back your time. So we appreciate Jose, and he just recently came on the board, and we're excited to have him in the future. He's got a big task ahead of him with membership. So if you guys want to support Jose and the Hispanic community, there's a way to do it. We are going to have a membership drive to up our numbers with business owners. And then so a great person to reach out to will be Jose to talk about that once we kind of develop that here in the next couple of weeks.
Awesome. Can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. Let's get it done.
I want to go just because Mr. Jose is there to see exactly what you guys would do.
Say again?
I can't wait to attend more of these events to see your chops.
Oh, yeah.
Matter.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have the Beach Brothers come out to our next couple of events. Just check it out, see how you like it. I'm telling you, it's awesome. It's fun.
Hey, yeah. Perhaps we can even do a show from there.
Perhaps anything is possible. We can go ahead and get it set up. We'll Julian and I talk about see when we can go ahead and possibly get that set up in the near future.
Well, I will admit I'm a little out of the prepared part of the show. Perhaps we can chat a little bit about how's business in Virginia Beach.
So it's
how are things picking up in the beach with business, local businesses?
With local businesses. So everybody's still adjusting. Some people have done a little bit better than others, and others are now kind of gaining their momentum and adjusting.
Right.
So, we want to see if there's going to be some more, maybe another stimulus package or a little bit more support for the business owners in a different capacity. So we're still kind of waiting to see what happens with that. You know about as much as you guys do.
How much relationship does the chamber do as a group toward legislative officials, and be it at a municipal level or a state level, perhaps even federal level? How does one engage the government in relation to business interests?
So a lot of the, at the various levels of government, they do have like diversity offices and stuff like that. So very much, how anybody engages, they walk up to the office for procurement and say, hey, I'd like to do business with you guys. And, there's steps and protocols for that.
Awesome.
So,
any future, go ahead.
So Conrad, I know we've been talking about me for a little bit, but I wanted to see kind of what your thoughts are since you're running for council.
Mm-hmm.
My thoughts right now is just how exactly could possibly myself get more involved. You said it's open to everyone. So is that just something where I would need to audit a bit, or perhaps I could literally sign on a dotted line?
No, so it's not as easy as signing on the dotted line. So it depends on what capacity. If you're like, hey, I'd like to be on the board of directors, then there's a screening process and a whole different thing that you've got to go through and certain requirements that you got to meet and all that. So it's not as easy as, hey, here I am.
I will admit, because I'm not personally an owner of a business, so I don't know if that is like a definite qualification to be a member. Is it you got to be yourself a business owner?
For the board, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, but still, I would like to be somehow at least more visually involved, or being able to absorb as much as that the group does as possible.
So you're running for council. So what's your stance on how do you make it more equitable for minorities to be able to do business with the city?
I have a generalized idea that I would like to try to propose to hypothetical council starting in January, of the idea of a new business fund, private public business fund that is more heavily laden towards startups, that not only reduces business taxes for about a year or two, but also provides some targeted grants more heavily laden toward minority communities. That is how I would work with that plan, and then sort of branch out going forward as to a more specific way to do that.
Interesting. And so when you say, like, what types of grants, like you're using already existing grants, or you're saying, hey, we're going to try to infuse even more capital into the minority grant?
Looking to infuse more grants.
Okay. Interesting.
That's just
So is that something that we can help them get started with?
Man, I don't even know where to begin on all that. So for me personally, I'm not a grant writer or a grant expert, but it's I'm sure we could probably help point them in the right direction.
Okay.
For me, I mean, just from what I've seen from the Hispanic community, so access to capital is a huge issue. But I think when it comes to the Hispanic community, is just making information available in something as easy as putting a Spanish plugin on the website so that I can read the stuff in my native language, so that when I extrapolate information, it's not, I'm not trying to read it in English and translate it to Spanish in my head, and maybe I don't know the word. It's just like, okay, cool, I understand. It's much better for me, and I can comprehend it much faster.
Right.
Things that easy. Learning how to do business with the city of Virginia Beach, the city of Norfolk, and having the information in Spanish. I mean, those are simple tasks that you can have an impact and almost immediately make a difference. When you talk about grants and trying to get more funding and all that, I mean, that takes a lot of resources, and that's stuff that's going to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years down the road. So for me, it's maybe some of the basic stuff that just allows somebody that immigrated here, that doesn't speak English, that doesn't have access to capital, that doesn't even know where to begin, where to go, that says, hey, you know what, I think now I know where to get the information from, and now I know where to at least go get started. One of the big downfalls to the last stimulus package during the PPP and the EIDL, organizations like the 501c6, which the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is, we didn't get any relief money. But yet we're the organization that's relied upon to help and provide assistance and do all this stuff, but we didn't receive any funds to be able to help our business owners. Right? To be able to say, hey, we'll put together a small $5,000 grant that can be an immediate impact to keep the lights on today. Right? So 501c6s were excluded from that stimulus package. So that's why I asked, you talk about all this grant stuff and this, hey, I want to bring a lot of money, but let's do something that's actually achievable, and let's make it easy for me to go inside to the city hall over on Princess Anne, to be able to walk in there and not speak English, but at least have access to the information to get a business license.
Exactly.
If you could have been able to get some money from CARES from Virginia, how much would you just project, spitball here, you would have been able to help out with some various business if you could have gotten access to that?
Oh, I mean, we can hypothetically, if you said, "Hey, look, we're going to give you $20,000." Listen, I was a Marine for 20 years, man. I can make $20,000 last a long time. Very creative.
Stretch that.
You know, we got very little resources, so I'll make it last. If you tell me, "Hey, we're going to give you $1.5 million," guess what? I'm gonna make that 1.5 million feel like 2.5 million. So, you know, it just depends. You know, just being at the table and having those conversations is really the important part when we talk about inclusion and equitable. You know, I hear those words a lot. We have a lot of civic leaders, a lot of politicians, and a lot of business owners that like to throw the word around diversity, equity, and inclusion. But when you ask them, "Hey, what do you really do?" that conversation changes a little bit, or the tone dies down a little bit, because people don't like to be challenged on that. You know, we're the minority demographic. You know, the Black Chamber of Commerce is the minority demographic. The Asian, the Filipino, the Indian, all chambers of commerce that we all coexist here locally in this economy. Of us at the table. When the city of Virginia Beach said, "Hey, we're going to do a 757 recovery fund, and here's how we're going to help you guys out," right? You know, you call up those organizational leaders and say, "Were you guys at the table having the conversation?" And you know, it'd be amazing to see how many yeses and nos you get.
How those various organizations this year?
What's that?
How involved were those various, like Black Brand, the Hispanic Chamber? How involved were you allowed to be?
Within about a week of COVID happening, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Filipino Chamber of Commerce, the Indian Chamber of Commerce, Asian Business Association, and the Black Chamber of Commerce, we had a multicultural COVID recovery, 757 COVID recovery Facebook page up and running, and we were just pumping information there as it came to us. And you know, you had individuals sitting down with administrators at the Small Business Administration and conference calls with them, to individuals that were getting other information from different parts. You know, people that were involved with conversation with the IRS and different organizations, coming together, trying to funnel and pump out as much info as possible to our business communities. And you know, we said, "Hey, here it is in various languages and various different forms, and you know, make sure that the information is vetted and that it's valid information, and you know, we're not just pumping anything out there, and that it's truly helpful for business owners." So I mean, that's how involved the different chambers have been.
Sounds like a lot were able to be included in the process. It's just the fault, as you mentioned, was not being able to receive grants, so then you can help target for businesses yourselves, which, assuming we're able to get after this election more active government leaders, not just in the city of Virginia Beach, like what I want to run for, but the state of Virginia, and federally, if we get more money to then drop into the city, you could then rely on the city leaders to try to ask you where the best places to apply grants would be, or just other forms of stimulus.
Yeah, I mean, we'll let the federal level politicians, you know, and you know, our regional politicians kind of deal with those levels. We definitely like to be included, but for, you know, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, you know, our region is the 757 region, Hampton Roads, Tidewater, you know, pick a name. But that's what we really want to. We really want to worry about those Hispanic business owners and say, "Hey, how are we helping our people here locally?" Because if we can help that business stay afloat, that's going to help keep, you know, another business afloat. That's going to provide, keep another person employed. So it's us being able to help stimulate our economy here that has an impact on us.
I would agree. Well, I've exhausted some of my ideas or questions that I would like. Mr. Jose, any final fun thoughts?
I'm glad to be a part of the chamber. It's a wonderful, humbling experience. I'm looking forward to working with Mr. Julian a lot and helping these businesses, get back on track,
Yeah, I mean,
help our economy.
it's going to be a great help. And I'll tell you what, man, with Jose's background with the insurance and the finance industry, I come from a similar field as well. And, that's one, like, we talked about junior achievement, but it's the same type of education that we provide for our communities, making, that financial literacy information available in Spanish, having people that we can talk to, rely on, and all that. So, it's always a great addition to have another professional, business person in the community that is of Hispanic descent to be a part of chamber and give back, because it's, business owners. I mean, everybody's busy with their lives every day,
Mm-hmm.
and yanked in 4 or 5 different directions, and here you are volunteering to say, hey, I'm going to run for city council and kind of try to help in that way, or hey, I'm going to join the chamber and try to help my community in this way. So I appreciate anybody that gives time back to the community in some capacity.
It's always great to have that bridge, because like the way I look at it is we have a lot of business owners out there, and small business owners, just because they have a business, don't necessarily know about the chamber. And with the language barrier, you don't know about the chamber and the language barrier. It's kind of hard for you to find out all these rules and regulations while you're still trying to run a business. So for me to be able to try to bridge that gap between small business owners and the chamber, where they can go ahead and learn ways to elevate their business better and take care of their business better and grow their business better, by all means, I'm all for it. Go for it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's really interesting to see. Here, I'll give you a perspective, right? So, whether wrong or right, we're all human beings, right? But you take an individual that leaves their country, right? They go to another country, whether legally or illegally, but they're here, right? Don't speak the language. Don't speak the language. Scrounge up somehow by asking aunts, cousins, brothers, sisters, moms, dads, uncles, grandpas for a couple bucks, right? To start a business. And now, not only do you have to start the business, but you got to do the business in a complete different language that you don't understand or have the slightest idea. And somehow, those individuals, through sheer determination, tenacity, and pure will, end up being successful.
Mm-hmm.
So now, if I can take that and somehow put that in a bottle and give it to our kids and say, hey, you're our future. Like, this is what it took. You should be proud that it took us this and we did it.
Mm-hmm.
Now we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Here's all the resources for you to be successful, and hopefully you're going to take all this hard work and make it 1,000 times better than we ever could.
That sounds like a self-fulfilling American dream.
It is fulfilling.
That's the goal, is to be able to provide that and being part of chamber, we can provide those resources, and that helps and that help to them. So
and possibly make that dream come true.
Yeah, I've done quite a bit of volunteer work and sat on quite a few boards, and between the chamber and Junior Achievement, I think so far have been two of my favorite organizations. I get to give back to the community, and then I get to help the future, and have an impact. So it's two good ones.
Indeed.
Well, we are nearing the 45-minute mark, which would be right around 8 o'clock on this great evening. I would like to thank you for coming on the beach for the show and just shoot the breeze at the Hispanic Chamber because we want to make sure it's able to grow. We're a very business-friendly show here as well on the Beach Brothers. So thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah.
Thanks for
So,
talking.
yeah. So if I could just end with one quick thing real quick. So,
Yes, sir.
Anybody who's out there, guys, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Coastal Virginia, hcccova.org. You can just look up the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Hampton Roads on Facebook. Follow us on Facebook, stay updated. We've got an Instagram, a LinkedIn, or if you can go on our website, go to contact us, shoot us an email, or give us a call. Our number's on there, 757-828-7337. And so, definitely like us, check us out, and definitely attend and come out to one of the events. I mean, you'll have a lot of fun. We like to dance and eat good music and listen to a lot of,
I can't promise any dancing.
Yeah. All right.
That's right. The food is great.
Yeah. The food is
That sells me on the food. All right. Well, I forgot. I don't think we've done any shout outs, business shout outs yet today. So I'll lead off with the one I always like to do, which is I drive a nice little Jetta that I've recently gotten about a year ago from Southern Volkswagen in Chesapeake, Virginia, 1248 South Military Highway. It's a very trusty car. And if you want to get yourself a trusty car, stop by 1248 South Military Highway, speak with Cynthia Rawlings and Charlie Roy, and get yourself a nice vehicle. Mr. Jose, anything you might want to shout out on this great night?
I don't have any shout outs, Mr. Julian. You have any businesses that you want to shout out on the air at this time?
Yeah, man.
Anybody want to recognize?
Oh, hey, this is
Go for it.
Shout out our business, the Legacy Business Advisors Mid-Atlantic. Definitely the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, shout out. I would do a disjustice to my colleagues and fellow board members if I didn't shout out their businesses. Simpson Incorporated with Dr. Garcia, Maximus Roofing with Liz Torres, great roofing company if you need one. Definitely go see her. A Plus Tutorial, Ms. Viviana. Definitely Mr. Jose Cruz and his wife, Vianney Bueno Brecknell, who does all of our events. So definitely got to give her a big shout out. She's over at New York Life. And then definitely check out our chamber members, Bilus, La Jaroa,